My beloved child, stop for just a heartbeat, because what you are about to hear has been quietly moving toward you for far longer than you realize. This is not a moment of chance. It is the kind of turning point that only reveals itself when the timing is finally ready. And today, something extraordinary has shifted. There is a decision that has already begun taking shape behind the scenes, a decision connected to a date that refuses to disappear from the story. June 4th, remember that date. It carries a meaning that no ordinary calendar can explain. You may wonder why this feeling has been growing stronger lately. Why certain memories return without warning. Why your heart becomes unexpectedly calm one moment and deeply curious the next. What if none of it is random? What if every unanswered question has been quietly leading toward one unforgettable announcement? Stay a little longer, because the next few moments may completely change the way you see your own path. Imagine someone standing at the edge of a life-changing choice. They have spent countless nights thinking, doubting, waiting, and searching for certainty. They looked in every direction except one. Then, almost without realizing it, they discovered that the answer had been connected to the same person all along. That realization did not arrive with noise. It arrived with peace. And peace has a strange way of becoming impossible to ignore. Now the whispers are becoming clearer. The title of this story is not simply a headline, it is a clue. Big news. Your soulmate has finally decided to tie the knot on June 4th with none other than. But notice something important. The sentence feels unfinished on purpose. Why? Because the final name is not meant to be rushed. Every meaningful story reaches its greatest reveal only after the heart is fully prepared to receive it. Pause for a moment and ask yourself this question. Have you ever felt that certain events were arranging themselves without your effort? That invisible pieces were moving into place while you focused on ordinary days? Those moments are often ignored because they seem too simple. Yet they become unforgettable when viewed from the future. What if this is one of those moments? There is another detail that almost everyone overlooks. A true decision is never made in a single instant. It begins long before anyone speaks it aloud. First comes quiet reflection. Then comes unexpected confidence. Finally comes the courage to stop running from what feels right. That is exactly why this story feels different. It is not about a sudden surprise. It is about a choice that has been patiently growing stronger every single day. Wait until the final moment of this journey, because another layer is about to unfold. There are signs hidden inside ordinary conversations, familiar places, and small coincidences that seem too perfectly timed to ignore. They are not shouting for attention. They are inviting awareness. Those who notice them early understand the story before everyone else. And here is something even more fascinating. The closer June 4th appears, the more everything else begins making sense. Old confusion starts losing its power. New confidence quietly replaces uncertainty. It feels as though the future is gently introducing itself before anyone else can see it. That is why today is different. Something that once seemed impossible now feels surprisingly close. Before this chapter ends, remember one thing. Not every important announcement arrives with flashing lights. Some of the biggest moments first appear as a quiet feeling that refuses to leave your heart. Keep listening. Keep watching. Because the unfinished sentence is moving toward its final words. And when that final name is revealed, you may realize that this story has been connected to you far longer than you ever imagined. A strange question is beginning to echo now: what caused everything to change so suddenly? Look closer, because the answer isn't hidden in one dramatic event. It was hidden in hundreds of silent moments that no one else noticed. Every hesitation, every delayed conversation, every unexpected coincidence quietly shaped the decision that now points toward June 4th. Nothing was wasted. Every step carried its own purpose. Think about someone standing in front of two completely different futures. One path feels familiar but empty. The other feels uncertain, yet strangely peaceful. For the longest time, they couldn't decide which direction deserved their trust. Then something happened, not loud, not obvious, but impossible to ignore. A single realization changed everything. The future they were searching for had never been somewhere else. It had always been connected to one unforgettable soul. This is where the story becomes even more fascinating. The decision to tie the knot wasn't created overnight. It grew stronger every time fear failed to overcome hope. Every moment of doubt slowly transformed into confidence. Every unanswered question became another reason to move forward instead of backward. Sometimes destiny doesn't rush. It waits until the heart finally stops resisting what already feels true. Now imagine the calendar quietly moving closer to June 4th. Each sunrise feels ordinary to everyone else, but behind the scenes, invisible pieces continue finding their perfect place. Conversations begin happening at just the right moment. Unexpected opportunities appear without warning. People who once seemed distant suddenly become part of the same picture. What if these aren't coincidences at all? What if they're gentle confirmations that the story has already entered its next chapter? Stay with this thought a little longer, because another layer is about to reveal itself. The unfinished sentence from the title still holds its greatest mystery. With none other than. Those final words remain unwritten for a reason. Sometimes the most meaningful reveal loses its power when spoken too early. The future has its own rhythm, and every powerful story knows exactly when to uncover its biggest surprise. By now, you may feel that something inside you is connecting the dots differently. That's not accidental. Awareness often arrives before visible proof. The heart senses movement long before the eyes can recognize it. That quiet certainty you've been unable to explain may be preparing you for a moment that will soon feel unforgettable. And if this story has sparked your curiosity or made you pause and reflect, I'd genuinely love to hear what stood out to you. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoy journeys like this, subscribing simply means we'll continue exploring these stories together. Before this chapter closes, remember this: every extraordinary ending first appears as an ordinary beginning. June 4th is getting closer. The decision has already been made. But the identity hidden behind those final unfinished words is still waiting for the perfect moment to step into the light. Don't look away just yet. Because the next chapter doesn't simply continue the story, it transforms everything you thought you understood. Listen carefully, because this is the moment where every scattered clue begins to connect. The silence is no longer empty. It is carrying an answer that has been approaching with remarkable patience. If you've stayed this far, you're standing at the edge of the biggest revelation yet. But before the final words are spoken, there is one last truth you need to understand. For a long time, the future looked like a puzzle with missing pieces. Every unexpected delay seemed confusing. Every unanswered hope felt unfinished. Yet imagine looking at the same puzzle from above instead of from within. Suddenly, every missing piece finds its place. Every pause becomes meaningful. Every twist becomes necessary. That is exactly what this journey has been preparing you to see. Now picture the morning of June 4th. The world wakes up as it always does. Streets are busy. Clocks continue ticking. Most people believe it is just another ordinary date. But for someone who has finally made a life-changing decision, nothing feels ordinary anymore. Their heart is no longer chasing endless questions. It has found direction. And once a heart finds direction, fear quietly steps aside. Here's the fascinating part. The unfinished sentence from the beginning was never meant to create confusion, it was meant to build understanding. Your soulmate has finally decided to tie the knot on June 4th with none other than. Notice how your mind naturally tries to complete those final words. That is because every meaningful story invites reflection before revelation. Sometimes the greatest discovery isn't hearing an answer, it's realizing why the answer matters. What if the real message has never been about predicting a specific event? What if it has always been about recognizing the power of commitment, clarity, and hope? Every chapter of this story has pointed toward the same idea. When someone finally stops running from what feels genuine, remarkable things begin unfolding in ways they never expected. Think back to the beginning of this journey. You arrived with curiosity. Along the way, you found questions, possibilities, and quiet moments that encouraged you to look beyond the obvious. That transformation is the true turning point. The future belongs to those who remain open to growth instead of fear, to purpose instead of hesitation. And before this chapter ends, remember this one simple thought. Some dates become memorable not because they are written on a calendar, but because they represent the courage to embrace a new beginning. Whether June 4th becomes symbolic for you or simply a reminder to move forward with confidence, let it inspire hope rather than uncertainty. The biggest revelations are rarely about a single name or one dramatic moment. They are about becoming the person who is ready for life's next chapter when it finally arrives. Thank you for staying until this moment. Every second you spent here became part of this journey. Until our next story, keep your heart open, keep your mind curious, and remember, sometimes the most beautiful chapters begin long before anyone realizes the story has already changed. One final doorway remains, and this is where the entire journey takes on a deeper meaning. Don't rush past these last moments, because sometimes the ending reveals what the beginning was quietly trying to say all along. As the story reaches its final chapter, imagine standing beneath a clear evening sky. Everything that once felt uncertain begins settling into place. The date, June 4th, is no longer just a number. It has become a symbol of readiness, courage, and the willingness to embrace a new chapter without looking back. The remarkable truth is this: life rarely announces its greatest opportunities with certainty. Instead, it invites us to grow into the kind of person who can recognize them when they appear. Every challenge, every delay, every unexpected twist you've heard throughout this journey has been leading to one realization: the future is built by the choices we make today, not by the fears we carried yesterday. Now return to the unfinished headline one last time. Big news! Your soulmate has finally decided to tie the knot on June 4th with none other than. Perhaps the most powerful ending is not revealing a specific name at all. The mystery encourages every listener to reflect on their own path rather than accept someone else's story as fact. The real destination has always been hope, personal growth, and believing that meaningful relationships are built through trust, patience, and authentic connection, not through rushing toward certainty. Think about how different this feels from where we started. You arrived expecting a surprise. Instead, you discovered a journey. You expected an answer. Instead, you found perspective. And sometimes perspective becomes the greatest gift because it changes the way every future chapter is experienced. If this story gave you a moment of inspiration or made you pause and think differently, I'd be happy to have you stay connected. You can share your thoughts below, subscribe if these cinematic journeys resonate with you, and let others discover this story by sharing it with someone who might need a little hope today. As this chapter closes, carry one final thought with you. Some of the most beautiful beginnings arrive quietly. Some of the most meaningful decisions are made long before the world notices. And some of the greatest stories are written not by chance, but by the courage to keep moving forward when the destination is still hidden beyond the horizon. Until our paths cross again, keep your heart open to possibility, your mind open to wisdom, and your eyes open to the opportunities that appear in the most unexpected moments. Because the next extraordinary chapter of your life may already be unfolding, one quiet decision at a time. I'd like to keep the mystery alive while avoiding presenting specific future relationship outcomes as if they are real or predetermined. Here's a cinematic continuation that stays in the same storytelling style. A final whisper remains, and this one changes the meaning of everything you've heard so far. Don't leave yet, because the story isn't ending, it is unfolding into something far more powerful than anyone expected. Imagine that the clock is slowly approaching June 4th. Every hour feels ordinary on the outside, yet behind the scenes, countless small decisions are quietly shaping tomorrow. People often believe life changes because of one dramatic event. But the truth is different. Great transformations begin with one thought, one moment of courage, one choice to stop looking backward and start walking toward what truly matters. What makes this story unforgettable isn't a grand announcement. It is the realization that every meaningful connection grows stronger through honesty, patience, and the willingness to become a better version of yourself. The greatest journeys are never built on shortcuts. They are built one sincere step at a time. Look closely at the clues you've gathered from the beginning. Every chapter has pointed toward the same idea. Delays were never punishments. Silence was never empty. Uncertainty was never the end. They were invitations to grow stronger before the next chapter could begin. Sometimes life prepares us quietly so that, when opportunity finally arrives, we are ready to recognize it. Now imagine standing at the edge of a brand new season. The air feels different. Your perspective has changed. The questions that once filled your mind no longer carry the same weight. Instead of asking, "When will everything happen?" you begin asking, "Who am I becoming while I wait?" That single question changes everything. Stay a little longer, because this is the part most people overlook. Every unforgettable story has a hidden turning point. Not the moment everyone celebrates, but the quiet moment when someone decides to believe again. That decision is invisible to the world, yet it becomes the foundation for every beautiful chapter that follows. Think about that for a second. What if your greatest opportunity isn't waiting somewhere far away? What if it begins the moment you choose hope instead of doubt? What if every experience you've had until now has simply been preparing you to recognize the next open door? The future has an incredible habit of rewarding those who keep moving forward, even when they cannot yet see the destination. Every sunrise offers another chance to begin again. Every challenge teaches a lesson that later becomes wisdom. Every unexpected turn adds another page to a story that is still being written. And here's something even more fascinating. The most meaningful connections are never defined by perfect timing alone. They are strengthened by understanding, kindness, respect, and the courage to communicate honestly. Those qualities are what transform ordinary moments into unforgettable memories. They are the reason some stories continue inspiring people long after the final page has been turned. Take one last look at the title. It created curiosity. It invited questions. It encouraged you to keep listening. But the deeper message has always been larger than a single date or a single event. It has been about believing that meaningful new chapters are possible when we continue growing, learning, and embracing life's possibilities with an open heart. Before this journey closes completely, remember this simple truth. Never underestimate the power of one hopeful decision. Never assume that today's silence defines tomorrow's possibilities. Never forget that every remarkable story begins long before anyone notices the first chapter. Thank you for walking through this cinematic journey from beginning to end. If these stories inspire your imagination, let them remind you to look ahead with confidence, to value genuine connections, and to welcome new beginnings with courage. Because somewhere beyond today's horizon, another chapter is already waiting to be written. And sometimes, the most extraordinary news isn't about what the future promises, it's about who you become while you're creating it.